why do we use something like design thinking? Or why do we want to, what is design thinking actually? You know, it has been a big buzzword years ago about using something like design thinking, a process to improve products, but what does it actually mean? If people ask me, I always say it's a mindset. It's something that you need to initialize, that you need to feel in order to develop products that are user-friendly. And one of the best examples is when McDonald's tried to launch burgers with pork in India, where they just don't eat any pork. So this is an example of creating products which are not focused on the users, on whom you are placing a product from, whom you're developing a product for. And this is something where design thinking comes into play. It actually is a mindset with a big toolbox that you can make use of in order to develop products that are desirable for your end users, for your end customers. And what the first step is, it means understanding what their actual needs are. And a lot of times I demonstrate it with an iceberg, with a big pyramid, and what you usually see is it's a tiny tip of the iceberg. What people say, they think, they feel, what you hear. But a lot of times that is not connected. What people say is not necessarily what they think or what they feel. So you need to dig deep in order to create empathy, in order to understand what their actual needs are, discovering insights, as I call it, putting yourself in the position of others. And that a lot of times is super duper tricky. So design thinking helps you to do that in order to then really think about solutions that solve these discovered problems, that solve these needs that you've discovered. So it's a tool set and a mindset that supports you, that supports your team to develop amazing products that are actually, that have a place in the market. What that also means, creating empathy and developing products based on the empathy, based on the needs and problems you've discovered, is that you actually start your product development process with a problem and not with a solution. And that's a lot of times one of the most challenging parts, because a lot of times people start a process or start developing products thinking, hey, I have an idea, I have a great solution, without even understanding the issues of whom they're designing for. So if you look at the process, and I say process even though I believe it's a mindset and it's very iterative, so you can repeat each step of the process. It's not a fixed step of things you have to do. But where it starts is actually understanding your landscape, understanding what you're trying to solve, understanding the problem, and also verifying it. Because a lot of times you think about a problem, but it's based on your own assumptions, on your own needs. So verify your problem first. Talk about the stakeholders, do quick research with the users, with the target groups. And then with that problem statement, you want to start doing, or based on that, you want to start doing research and actually understand all experts involved and all users, and really ask questions, do observations, create that needed empathy. And then the third step of the process is coming back. So if you look at the process, actually, you think about diverging and converging. And it's like a wave, as I say. So research means you go broad, you collect as many information as possible, and then when you come back, you want to synthesize it. You really want to find the essence of the research data. What did you actually find out? So converging all that information. And after that, you go broad again, you diverge again, because you want to find ideas. So you want to think about how can you solve these discovered problems and create something awesome for the discovered needs. So use different brainstorming methods, go crazy, go really, really crazy, think out of the box, and there's awesome things on how you can do that. And then in the next step, you want to converge again by building a prototype, by making your idea tangible. Because only if you have something tangible, you can actually test it and get feedback. And then that is basically the last step of the process, testing your prototype and getting feedback. And then, as I said, it's iterative. So if you get feedback, you want to integrate it. So sometimes you have to go back and you need to do more research in order to validate what you figured out, and then iterate on your prototype and really do that as long as you feel like, okay, it's ready, you know, the feedback is very, very well founded, and then you go to market. And then it's another cycle of testing because everything is constantly changing. So the advantage in the end is that once you launch your product to the market, you've already tested it, you know exactly who your target group is, and it really helps you or ensures you that you're going to have some kind of success. So design thinking is actually a super useful, validated process and mindset, especially, that you can use to develop desirable, viable, and feasible products. So this is what we actually do every day with customers and within our team. So if you want to learn more about it, please feel free to reach out.